Hello, everyone. My name is Janet Sartain. I am a senior nursing student at Indiana State University's LPN to BSN completion program. This series of health education videos will serve to satisfy clinical hours during the COVID pandemic for my community health nursing class. The topic this week is gun safety in the home. Before I get started with the main portion of this presentation, I just wanted to lead off with this disclaimer. There is nothing political about this presentation. It's totally unbiased and should not be considered pro or con for gun control. I simply would like to provide tips to families who own firearms or to families who have children who are exposed to firearms, just how to keep those kids safe. When I was a child, my father was a police officer, and I grew up surrounded by guns. It was not unusual to see a gun lying on a coffee table or on a bedside table. As children, we were raised not to touch the guns. It was just a fact of life. There would be a gun there. You don't touch the gun. Unfortunately, things have changed, and children are a little more curious and sometimes just a little more adventurous than maybe I was. Following this presentation, the learner should be able to discuss the number of shooting accidents that happen every day. They'll be able to describe safe storage practices for firearms in the home, describe safe handling practices for firearms and ammunition, and learn the importance of speaking with your children and other family members about gun safety. Here's just a little basic quiz about gun safety. You want to stop the video right here and take the test. We will answer the questions as we go through the video. Here are just a few statistics about unintentional or accidental shootings or injuries from guns. By October of 2020, there were 220 unintentional shootings by children. These are the children doing the shootings. This resulted in 92 deaths and 135 injuries. Accidental deaths occur mainly to those people under 25 years old. 2,549 children, and children are classified by those between the ages of 0 and 19 years old, died by gunshot, and an additional 13,576 were injured. And that's just in 1 year. In the United States, over 4.6 million American children live in homes with at least one unloaded, unlocked gun, setting the scene for a possible tragedy. So where do we pull these statistics from? The CDC, or the Center for Disease Control, has a division called the National Center for Health Statistics. The job for that division is exactly what it says. They keep up with health statistics. And that includes publishing a database based on mortality, of the reasons that people die. Um, the CDC gets the information about the types of death, the ages, etc., from coroner reports, medical examiner reports, and attending physicians. The statistics generally come from the diagnosis on death certificates and diagnoses on medical examiner reports. When they list firearm deaths on the database, the firearm deaths include things like homicides, suicides, and accidental shootings. Interestingly enough, you may have noticed when you go to your physician for a yearly checkup, one of the questions that you might get asked is, do you wear your seatbelt? Another is, do you have guns in your home? There is no reason for asking this question other than the AMA is encouraging all physicians to offer firearm counseling. Since there has been such an increase in deaths related to firearms, whether it be accidental, unintentional, or intentional. And this is just a little example of a handout for physicians that guides them in the effective counseling or asking about firearms in the home. A few safety tips for those people, families who have guns. It's recommended by the CDC to store your firearms in some sort of locked vessel, whether it be a cabinet, a gun safe, a gun vault, even a little storage box that's shown right here in this picture. There are various kinds of locks for these storage boxes. Anything from biometrics using a fingerprint or a facial recognition to trigger locks, to combination locks, or to just a key lock. Another thing that you want to do is to you want to store your ammunition in a separate locked location from the firearm. So in the event an enterprising young child manages to open one of the boxes, say they open the gun box, the gun is empty and the ammunition is stored somewhere else locked up, and that's going to deter them and at least slow them down, so possibly there can be intervention before a child is able to get to the ammunition. Many people have carry permits these days. Many people feel more comfortable having a gun on their person or in their vehicle with them. It's recommended that gun owners invest and use a lockbox for your vehicle. The one pictured there in the lower picture is a console lockbox. It fits within the console between your seats. There are various car manufacturers who have lock boxes that secure in the trunks of the vehicles. It's obviously an add-on, but it's not a bad idea to keep your gun locked up. Another safety tip, if you're going to have a gun in the home, is to take a training course to learn how to safely handle the gun. There are lots of training courses. I just Googled firearm safety and had just page after page of potential firearm safety classes. Um, the classes and instructors will help you learn the safe way to handle the gun, how to store it, how to keep it clean. And it's important for you to understand the power of the gun and make sure that you learn to handle it and in turn teach your children or young adults to handle any kind of gun with care and respect. Children today are exposed to gun violence in every direction, from TV shows to the news, video games, social media. There are just many examples of gun violence that are available for children to see. Even in a cartoon, there are gun violence scenes. The problem with cartoons is Bugs Bunny is coming out of his hole and Elmer Fudd is hunting wabbits. Bugs sticks his finger in the end of the gun and Elmer fires and the gun kind of explodes. It's important for children to understand the difference in reality and the fantasy type TV. It's really important to have frequent conversations with your children about gun safety, not only in your home, but when they're going to a friend's home. So talking to your children about guns, children need to understand that guns are very dangerous. You're going to want to teach yours to follow some simple rules if they ever see a gun. They need to stop what they're doing, and they don't need to touch the gun, even if it looks like a toy. They need to leave the area where the gun is, and they need to go and tell an adult right away, just to help the adult know that there is a gun. Maybe they didn't realize it. Kids also need to understand that shooting and killing someone with a gun is permanent. Like I said, not at all like the cartoons where the character gets shot and then gets up like nothing has happened. Another thing to remember is that children are not the only people who need to be considered when you're looking at gun safety. Older adults, especially those suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's, memory problems, any kind of mental disorder, need to be considered as well, because just like children, these adults with dementia can forget what the gun is for. They can forget that it's dangerous. They're curious, and they are as apt to have an unintentional shooting as a child. So I'm going to leave you with the cardinal rules of gun safety. The first rule of gun safety is to always treat all firearms as if they're loaded. Number 2, never point the muzzle at anything that you do not want to kill. 3, do not put your finger near the trigger until you're willing to fire. Keep your finger outside that trigger guard. And 4, always be sure of your target. Make sure you know what's behind it and what's in front of it. So if you're aiming at something, understand that there could be collateral damage. References I used are listed here. There are many, many references on gun safety out there. All you have to do is Google. And I'd like to thank you all for watching and hope that this has been beneficial to you.